Growth is something that we are called to regularly, and this often means being really stretched and overstretched and taking us to our limits of what we feel is comfortable. And when this is happening, we often find ourselves in a real sense of fragility or of feeling quite delicate, and that feeling of sensitivity that we feel when we are being expanded is usually indicative of moving through a very transformative time in our lives. We might perceive this experience as somehow being wrong, or we feel it very personally, as if something's being done to us. But really what's being asked of us is to evolve and to expand. It's a really beautiful teaching that Michael Meade shares about the concept of the butterfly and the caterpillar. And what he shares is that the cells that actually form the butterfly are already sitting within the cocoon of the caterpillar. And actually what starts to happen is the actual little caterpillar starts to resist the cells of the butterfly. And all this does to the butterfly cells is fuel them to grow even more strongly. And that resistance is actually the fuel for the growth. And so we know that when we resist that, we're pushing against it. But ultimately what we're also doing is fueling the growth as we keep expanding. And so when you feel that sense of resistance, know that you're in that really powerful shift of change. And remember that the brain's biochemistry doesn't know whether you're moving through a good change or a bad change or a positive or a negative shift. It'll just want you to stay the same. But that's not what you're here for. You're not meant to stay the same. And so you have a conscious choice. You have full agency around how you choose to respond to this shift. And you either respond with open arms, knowing that you're in a natural evolutionary process, or you go kicking and screaming all the way. And I can assure you, if you choose the latter, your experience of growth will be really prolonged. It will feel like a really long period of time, or concertinaed experiences, one after the other, after the other, after the other, because you are resisting the very nature of your being. Ways in which you operated 5 years ago are no longer in service into the being that you have evolved to be. Just like the cells of the caterpillar are no longer relevant to the wings of the free butterfly. They've already done what they need to do. So how you choose to navigate your way through growth can either be through resistance or through grace, because that growth is inevitable, whether you push against it or welcome it in. And so what ways at this point in the journey of your own life can you surrender a little bit more, have a greater sense of faith? And when you have more faith, it will automatically dissolve the fears you have to this shift and this change. Staying the same isn't something that inherently you are wanting. We think that we want to stay the same, but really we don't. And that stagnant way of being is wanting to shift and move again. And you know this in nature, when you look outside and there's a container of water that hasn't moved, it just becomes stagnant really quickly, and it becomes the home of your summer mosquitoes to come. But when you look at water that's always moving, it's always clear, because it's moving, it's growing, it's shifting. It doesn't fear, there's a big rock there, how am I going to get around it? The water will just flow and it will find a way. But as human beings, we've attached ourselves to this real fear and this real sense of worry. And the word worry even comes from the Latin word to mean to strangle. And that's what it feels like. So as you shift, have a greater sense of faith that all of the moving parts in your life are part of a grand design that you might not be privy to. And if you were privy to it, your decisions might be different. So be okay with not knowing. Be okay with not being clear about what that might look like. And instead just allow yourself to move into that greater flow state. Let that sense of faith and deep trust, not only in life, but Also in yourself, you've not come this far and moved through everything that you have to not trust yourself. So trust that those answers are there, and then allow yourself to move through the evolution, because we evolve many, many, many times in one lifetime. This isn't just once. So we might as well learn how to do it with skill and with grace and with peace in part along the way. Namaste.